Part 9. The Narrative Machine. Why tech coverage reads the way it does, and why disclosure rules underperform. A source to look at cloud economics. Every claim links to its source. Nothing here alleges a crime. The striking part is that it is all legal and disclosed. Nobody has to be corrupt for tech coverage to tilt. The tilt is built into the plumbing. Who pays for what looks like what, and who you trust to tell the difference. Three forces do most of the work. Advertising designed to read like editorial, analyst firms whose paying clients are the companies they rate, and an audience that has quietly stopped trusting the news. Put them together and you get a narrative machine that runs on incentives, not villains. The good news is that the rules anticipated this. The frustrating news is how often the rules fall short in practice. Let's take it piece by piece. Start with the law, because it's clearer than most people assume. 5. Via Cornell LII. The definition of an endorsement is deliberately wide. 0. Via Cornell LII. That's broad enough to sweep in product reviews, social posts, and any third-party styled content where the sponsor's hand isn't obvious. The FTC drew the line on format explicitly. The core principle: advertising should be identifiable as advertising, and an ad can be deceptive based on its format. When it's dressed up to look like independent editorial content, FTC press release, National Law Review. So the rulebook is on the side of the reader. The question is whether the rulebook works. It often doesn't, and we don't have to guess because researchers measured it. In a 2016 Journal of Advertising study, Going Native, Bartosz Wojtyński and Nathaniel Evans ran experiments to see whether readers could even tell a native ad was an ad. In the first experiment, only 17 of 242 participants, under 8%, identified a native ad as a paid marketing message. A second experiment nudged that up to roughly 18%. Clear wording using advertising or sponsored and placing the label in the middle or at the bottom improved recognition. But the ceiling stayed low. Journal of Advertising. Figures via media post. Read that again. More than 9 in 10 readers, in the first run, didn't realize they were reading an ad. The second force is quieter and more respectable. The technology analyst industry. Influential firms run a subscription and advisory model in which the same vendors they evaluate are also paying clients. That's a structural conflict of interest, and it has been litigated. 2 vendors took it to court. In 2009, ZL Technologies sued Gartner. In 2014, NetScout did the same. Both alleged a pay-to-play model in which Gartner's influential Magic Quadrant favored paying clients. NetScout's pleadings argue the firm discriminated based on whether vendors purchased services, and the underlying structural complaint, as one industry observer summarized it, was that Gartner generates its revenues from payments made by the same vendors whose products it evaluates. Kellblog, on the ZL suit, Diginomica, on the NetScout suit. I want to be exact about status. Those are allegations that plaintiffs made in civil litigation. They are not findings of wrongdoing, and here's the part the headlines often skip: the courts rejected them. The earlier ZL suit failed. The NetScout case ran longer and ended decisively. In January 2020, the Connecticut Supreme Court affirmed dismissal, holding that Gartner's Magic Quadrant placement was protected opinion. In the court's words, Gartner's statements were expressions of opinion and, therefore, cannot provide the basis for a defamation claim. The Register. For its part, Gartner has stated that its research influence is not and has never been for sale and points to its ombudsman and independence policies. So what survives the gavel is narrow and worth stating plainly. The revenue structure is real and openly acknowledged. The characterization of it as pay-to-play corruption is an allegation that did not hold up in court. Both of those things are true at once, and a fair account keeps them both. Now the backdrop that raises the stakes on all of it. Public trust in news has eroded over the past decade and now sits at roughly 40% across markets, with audiences citing worry about media being swayed by political and business interests. The Reuters Institute's 2024 Digital News Report put it this way: trust in the news 40% has remained stable over the last year, but is still 4 points lower overall than it was at the height of the coronavirus pandemic. Reuters Institute. University of Oxford. When 6 in 10 people already suspect the coverage is bought or bent, every undisclosed sponsorship and every conflicted rating does double damage. It misleads the few who trusted, and it confirms the cynicism of the many who didn't. Opinion. Michael, I don't think the problem here is bad actors. It's a system that quietly rewards confusion. The dominant failure mode isn't a missing label. It's a label too faint to register. The FTC itself says disclosures must be clear and prominent, and that a disclosure that only appears after a click-through will not cure any misleading impression lobe on the FTC native ad guidance. Stack that standard next to a study where under 8% of readers spotted the ad, and the implication is uncomfortable. The minimal sponsored tag we've all learned to scroll past can be legally insufficient and practically invisible at the same time. None of that requires anyone to do anything illegal. The Analyst model is disclosed. Native ads are labeled. The court sided with Gartner. It just means the incentives reward a story that's a little easier to sell than the truth. Bad systems, not bad people, but a system that profits from blur won't sharpen itself. You don't have to take my read. The FTC text, the peer-reviewed study, the court ruling, and Gartner's own denial are all linked above. Judge the machine yourself. Every number in this video is in the company's own filings. You do not have to take it on faith. Check each source yourself at the Evidence Explorer, linked in the description. This was part 9 of a sourced series, Bad Systems, Not Bad People.